Hello, welcome to the Film Addict Show. This is your host, the Film Addict. Let's talk about movie musicals for a minute. I love musicals. Musicals are really, I mean, they're one of the most enjoyable things. I mean, if there was one really true gay side of me, it would be the musicals. I mean, I love the producers. I love the Book of Mormon. I love Rent and Phantom of the Opera and West Side Story, Sweeney Todd, and on Something Funny Happened on the Way to the Forum. All fantastic musicals. I love them to death. And then there's the duty of adapting a musical to the film format. Now, the, it's not that hard to do. Uh, I mean, West Side Story did it brilliantly with its movie production, and Sweeney Todd was all right. It was a pretty good, but I mean, there were every once so often there is a musical movie where it just does it all wrong, and that movie is Moulin Rouge. Now, Baz Luhrmann sucks. He really sucks. He got famous around in the '90s with his movie production of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, which was a very terrible modern day adaptation starring Leo DiCaprio and whatever that chick's name is that played Juliet. But that's not the movie we're going to talk about. He then decided to tackle the musical. He decided to tackle the musical format of movies, and came out with Moulin Rouge, starring Ewan McGregor, and what the fuck is that? Whatever. She got an. This movie got Oscar. This movie got Oscar nominations. It got Oscar nominations. It got nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design. I I don't know how this movie was even considered, and it it's stupid. It's stupid. Oh my god, it's ridiculously retarded to the point where I was just bored to tears. All right. Now there are only a few qualities that I really liked about the movie. I liked the costumes were pretty well done. The cinematography was outstanding. I mean, the great color palette that it had in the movie to complement the set was astounding. But it was terrible editing, terrible acting, terrible story, and the musical numbers. Okay, you cannot take a movie, set it in 1899, and you cannot incorporate modern day music into that year. It just it doesn't make sense. It simply doesn't make sense to do that. I mean, they had Elton John, Beatles songs, Whitney Houston, and the Sound of Music, which that was the oldest piece of music that they had taken. That was from the 1940s. At least that was when the musical was set in. But you cannot incorporate that into a setting into 1899. This We have Ewan McGregor, who plays Christian, a fresh out of college kid who decides to become a writer and moves to France. He moves to France to write stories of true love, and that's the one thing. The word love is so redundant in this movie. They said it like, I don't know, I couldn't even count. And he's on his typewriter, and then all of a sudden something else happens. Like a narcoleptic Turkish man falls through his roof, and they decide, oh no, he's passed out, so we need someone to do this number. And so they pick up Christian, and he decides they're trying to think, and then they're talking. The editing is so quick and fast paced. No person is on screen for more than 5 seconds. That is how bad this editing is. And they try to pass it off as like revolutionary or, really something cool, and it doesn't. It's just shitty storytelling, and I'm just like, I want to pay attention to this guy, but then all of a sudden we're on to this guy, and then on this guy, on this guy, and on this guy, and on this guy, and I'm just like, fuck! Just shut up! And then all of a sudden Christian sings like sings "The Hills Are Alive" from The Sound of Music, and it's like, okay, one, that doesn't make sense. You cannot just use that. That's and then through that, there's like, oh my god, he's a genius. He came up with one lyric. He came up with one line of lyrics, and we want him to help write our musical. What? No audition? No, like, goodbye. We'll be in touch. None of that shit. No. And then so they decide that the best way to get their production going and financed is if they go to the Moulin Rouge. So they get drunk off absinthe, and they start tripping on absinthe and the Green Fairy, and they fly to the Moulin Rouge. I know it's supposed to be like a trippy dream sequence, but it's not that far. They could just walk. I mean, what was the point of flying to the Moulin Rouge when they're right there? So we get to the Moulin Rouge, and we get Santine. We meet Santine. Her character, they're all prostitutes, and Jim Broadbent as the owner of Moulin Rouge, singing a song about the Moulin Rouge and all the women and everything, whatever. And so it turns out that he needs financing to turn the Moulin Rouge into a theater, so he's trying to sell Santine to the Duke, I guess is the Duke, and so that he can provide the funding to turn the Moulin Rouge into a theater. Now, why can't they just turn it into a theater now? I mean, from what it looks like, the place is really popular. I mean, there's people throwing money at them. I don't know why. I mean, it seems like it's a huge place. It's one of the most popular places in the whole area. So I don't know why that they're trying to get money from the Duke when they could just turn the Moulin Rouge into a theater on their own. So, and then we have the classic case of mistaken identity. Christian gets mistaken for the Duke by Santine or whatever, and then she has to pleasure him, I guess, and so they're in her elephant apartment, I guess, and then really cheesy innuendos are involved, and he starts singing the song "Your Song" by Elton John. It's my favorite Elton John song. I can't believe they had to ruin it like that. And so I guess they fall in love. Then the Duke comes, and they're trying to hide Christian from the Duke because he would be mad, I guess. And so she got an Oscar nomination. Watching her performance, I don't know why she got an Oscar nomination. Actually, wait, what the fuck is that actress's name? I have it in here. Here we go. Nicole Kidman, that was it. Nicole Kidman. And so she starts to distract the Duke. She's just like, whoo, woo, she's doing weird little movements, I guess, to distract him. And it's just like, she got an Oscar nomination. Why? Why did she get an Oscar nomination? It's such a terrible performance. Oh god, it gave me a headache just to watch her on the screen. Jesus fucking Christ. And then he finds Christian, then all their friends come in and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna be doing a musical show. We want to turn it into a theater." And Duke's like, "What's it about?" And he's very weird and so creepy. I guess sure, he has to be creepy because he's the bad guy, but he's just like, I don't even want to touch him. He's just like, "Meh." And it's like, what's it about? It's about love, and obviously it's about love. I mean, it's good. It's, and then Christian wants to fall in love with with Santine so much, and then she's just like, I can't really love someone right now because blah blah blah, and then he just starts singing different songs about love, and then he ends with Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You," and she instantly falls in love with him. That's not reality. This movie's not based in. This does not happen in real life. You cannot just sing how much you love a person and expect them to just instantly fall back in love with you. That does not happen in real life, people. I don't know why I watched this movie. I own it. I bought it just a couple days ago. I have an addiction. I'm a film addict. I have to have movies. And then, so they decide. So he agrees to provide funding to turn the Moulin Rouge into a theater, and at the same time he wants to own the theater and wants Santine as well, because hey, women are property back in those days, no problem. And at the same time, Santine is dying from consumption, tuberculosis or something like that. And oftentimes, they forget that she has the consumption, and they only bring it up when it's necessary. And that's just a terrible plot device to use a plot device like that. You can't just you can't just bring up you can't just have something. You can't have a character die of something and only bring it up when it's convenient. And that's just shitty writing. Now, they're rehearsing at the same time Christian and Santine are having an affair behind the Duke's back, and then the Duke finds out from a minor character who doesn't matter whatsoever. What the fuck? Like, she was not important at all, and then all of a sudden she spills the beans. One thing, how does she know about the affair in the first place? Did she see them making out or something? The only people who knew were the owner, Jim Broadbent, and Santine and Christian. Those were the only... And Christian's friends. That's the only people who knew. None of the other whores knew about him. How did she find out? And what was the point of her spilling the beans to the Duke anyway? What was the point of that? What did she have to gain? What did she have to lose? What was the deal that was made behind the curtain? Ugh. Why do people like this movie so much? Why do people actually enjoy this movie? There is no reason that anyone should like this movie at all. It should be scrapped. It should be written off as a piece of shit. It is. This movie's a piece of shit. I don't even know why. I don't even know if I want to continue with the review of it. But I will, because fuck it. And just give me a minute here. This is so anyway. The Duke tries to sleep with Santine, but she can't go through with it. And so they find out that Santine is actually the doctors and the ringleader or the owner, Jim Broadbent, find out that she's dying of consumption. And here's the funny thing. They don't tell her that she's dying of consumption. Isn't that great? Just, if I was dying, I would want someone to tell me. What was the point of not telling her anyway? She finds out in the end. She finds out later, like, regardless. And nothing changes. She just becomes more morose. She becomes more sad. And then she tells her that, you have to fall in love with the Duke, hurt Christian to save him. Really cliched. Really, really cliche. And then Christian becomes an asshole and decides to embarrass her on the night of the production, on the first night of premieres, the musical premieres. And he decides to embarrass her by calling her a whore. Throwing money, goes, I've paid my whore. And, fuck. Shit. Well, this movie is a piece of shit. It is stupid, too long, not... Ugh. I'm the Film Addict. I hate Moulin Rouge. Goodbye.